Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome again to another Cars and Coffee with me, Kenny Brown. And this morning we've got a really great episode for you. In fact, it's shocking. It's totally shocking. And we'll get to that in a minute. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm Kenny Brown, and Cars and Coffee is something that we created because I just found there's so much misinformation out there on the internet. And I tell people the two worst places to get information about your car is the internet and the paddock, or the guy that knows everything down the street. So this morning we've got a really good episode lined up. If you're on Facebook and have some friends, there's a thing you can click to do kind of like a watching session, because today it's like, I'll show you the shocking story for today. Except the banner's in the way. There we go. Our Tech Talk and Show and Tell are going to be the same thing today. It just so happens we have all three of the types of coilover shocks that we have with me this morning. So I'm going to go through the coilovers and what makes getting coilover shocks so different from me than any place else in the aftermarket. And we've got some great questions that came in from the Speed Therapy Society. If you're not a member, certainly welcome you to join the Speed Therapy Society. It's a Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society. I always got to say that. It's a private Facebook group of a lot of like-minded people, and there's a lot of good, people share a lot of stuff in there. It's really cool. Plus, the subjects I talk about on Saturday mornings actually come from the members of the Speed Therapy Society, because, like I say, I always talk about what you want to know about, and answer your questions. Which reminds me, if you've got any questions, send them in. At the end, I'll try to answer your questions the best I can. So I think the way what we'll do, we're just going to kind of just dive into some of the questions, because the shocking section is going to be pretty good, and that's going to take up most of the morning. So let's see. Going to the questions. This is from Big White Ford Explorer. Can you speak directly about your involvement in the second-gen Ford Explorer platform, and more detailed explanations about what you did back then and what you might have done differently now today? Was there any rivalry between you, Celine, and Steeda on this platform? Is there any further backstory that might be interesting? Well, let's see what I can do. We actually, and this is we did a series of supercharged Explorers, and they were with the 5.0, the Windsor motor, and they were such cool cars. And like anything else, I don't just do a supercharger. We also did things to, like, we upgraded the suspension, we upgraded wheels and tires so that we had a platform to support it. And I can't remember how many we built. I should have looked that up. I'll go back and look that up and let you know next week how many supercharged Explorers we did. But as far as the rivalry between Celine, Steve, and myself, I have no idea. I mean, I sort of shouldn't say that. I ignore those guys. And I just kind of focus on what we're doing. A long time ago, when I was doing like professional race mechanic, my professional race mechanic job, I worked with a really great group of engineers and English mechanics and engineers on the March program. And back then, in the 80s, I guess it was, the British race car mechanics were the absolute best. I mean, most of the Indy cars were British race car mechanics, and a good percentage of the Formula One cars were English race car mechanics, because they have a whole system over there of apprenticeship working your way up to master mechanic. Anyway, I learned a lot from those guys. One of the most important things that I learned is when you're at the track, don't pay attention to anybody else, just follow your own nose. And that's pretty much what I did, because my products are so different. Steve, I know Steve pretty well. I mean, worked with him for 2 years in the Celine R endurance racing race program, SCCA Pro Endurance Racing, which I built or engineered, built, and managed the Saleen R race cars to 4 national championships in SCCA Pro Endurance Racing, along with winning the 24 Hours of Canada twice, which was kind of a cool deal. But nevertheless, I mean, Steve's focus is he's a marketing guy, and he's a lot about style. If you've ever seen his cars, I mean, there's a lot of styling that goes into his cars because he's all about that image, which is cool. I mean, the Saleen cars are pretty cool. I mean, they're really great looking cars. Steeda, on the other hand, they're sort of like just a parts merchanting warehouse, and then they parts they have, they put on their cars. You know, I what's different about me, all my cars are engineered. You know, it's like I don't just go in and grab parts off the shelf. I figure out what I want to do with the car. I engineer it, and if I can't find the products I need to make it work, then we create it. That's how our parts program came into existence. So I mean, that's kind of like the rivalry thing. Didn't make any difference to me. I just kind of ignore everybody else. How about a backstory? Okay, we did this is kind of in that same vein. Back then there was the Explorer and then the Mercury Mountaineer, and we actually built a special Mountaineer for Lynn St. James for her program for the One Lap of America, and it was a pretty cool car, truck, whatever you have it. We did the full suspension, wheels, tires, upgraded the brakes. We also put a cage in it. Not a complete cage, but sort of like an interstructural cage, because One Lap of America, back then, you started at Watkins Glen and you did a hot lap, and then you went to like all these other tracks, and then you came back and did your final hot lap at Watkins Glen. So seeing it was going to be on track, we put a cage in it and Recaro seats, and we added a whole bunch of extra like plug-in things, like cigarette lighter plug-in things, power ports, because Lynn had 4 female race car drivers in the program. And what they would do, this is a promotion for Lincoln Mercury, is as they were traveling from track to track in the One Lap of America, they would be doing live radio and TV interviews on the road. So that's why we had to have all these extra power ports, because for the phones and everything. So that was kind of a pretty cool program. And, you know, and after the program, Lynn actually drove that Mountaineer as her daily driver for years, and just absolutely loved it. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with the Explorers back then. And I should have brought in, I got some magazine articles, a number of magazine articles we had on our Explorer program, and I was going to bring them in and I forgot them, but I think we just showed them a couple weeks back. So so I hope that answers your question. Bill wants to know, are you planning to bring back the Gen 1 chassis, subframe connectors and chassis system? Maybe is the answer to that. It's kind of curious. When we were in Chicago, we developed a matrix system for Gen 1 Mustangs, and we haven't really done much with it after we got back here. But in this past week, the weirdest thing, we had 2 people inquire on that, and we actually, I think next week, maybe, I can't remember, it's coming up. Somebody's going to drop off a 69. I think it's, gosh, I got to look at my sheet. I think it's a 69 with a 390 in it, and we're going to put the matrix system on, subframe connectors, jacking rails, and matrix brace. And the interesting thing is we use the jacking rail we use on the Gen 1 Mustangs is the same jacking rail we use on the Fox and the S197. So it's kind of like get a lot of coverage on that. So yeah, we've actually, if we have more inquiries, I mean, it's a really cool system. It makes a huge difference. It's pretty much completely different than what anybody else has out there, because it incorporates my matrix system, which if you have been with me for a while, you know that puts 4 triangulations under each side of the car, which really, really improves the chassis rigidity. So yeah, I mean, if there's more interest, I mean, we've got the fixtures, we can build more of them, but we had a couple on the shelf. And like I said, we had 2 people inquire in the same week, which is kind of weird. So yeah, if there's interest, anybody's interested, let me know, and we'll look about putting it back in production. Okay, John S. wants to know, he said, I always hear you and others say smooth is fast. What is the philosophy behind this statement? It's pretty simple. The smoother you are, the quicker you are. The smoother you are, the longer your tires will last. Why do I say that? Because if you're smooth going through a corner, you've got, you turn in to the apex and then you turn out. Easy, smooth motions in and out. If you're doing this, doing that through the corners, sawing on the steering wheel, you're using a lot of energy, first thing. But secondly, every time you saw the tires are doing these little wiggly things. Okay, if you're wiggling the wheel, the tires are doing the same thing, which means that does two things. One, you're scrubbing the tires, which means you're scrubbing speed, and it's just wear you out. So that's why I set my cars up. I engineer my car specifically to be easy to drive, because if you have a car that's easy to drive, it's easy to be smooth. You do one turn in apex and you unwind. Very smooth motion. This is not fast, because if the tires are doing this, you're not only scrubbing the tires, but you're scrubbing speed. So I hope that answers it for you. But yeah, we used to have in our old shop on Gaston Alley, we had signs all over the place that said smooth is good, smooth is fast. So yeah, that's a big thing, and I try to tell people to be smooth. Also, on your footwork, you really need to be smooth. Somebody once told me that they couldn't believe watching my feet in a race car. Just how they said it was almost like ballet, which it almost needs to be. Everything needs to be smooth, whether you hit the gas, hit the brakes, all that stuff needs to be really smooth. If you're jamming this, jamming that, it's not the quickest way. So smooth turn in and turn out, smooth on the gas, smooth on the brake. When you start doing this on the gas or jamming the brakes, you're not going to be quick. So that's the whole philosophy behind smooth is fast, because it is. Let's see, we've got Sam for a road race track application. What is your supercharger power adder of preference for the early 4.6 2V4V, and likewise for the 5-liter Coyote 4V? Okay, my power adder of choice is the performance platform. Okay, power is the last thing we put into a car, and my 5 secrets to the performance platform, if you've been in some of my workshops, you'll recall this. It's chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes. You get those 5 things right, and a lot of times you don't need a power adder, specifically like on a Coyote. I got my 2012 GT4 RS track car. It was a Coyote motor with a cold air kit, long tube headers, and a tune. That was it. But I had my full AGS 4.0 suspension with great brakes and a great wheel and tire package. And I'll give you an example, like tracks like Road America. You would expect, Road America is theoretically a horsepower track. So you would expect like GT 500s with all that supercharged horsepower to be really fast up there. Well, I can tell you that my naturally aspirated Coyote, GT 500s got in my way, and I would pass them on the straightaway like they were sitting still. And the reason for that is because I have a really great performance platform. I could go really deep into the corners. The car would rotate. Now, this is my AGS 4.0 suspension. It's engineered specifically to do this. Really late and deep on the brakes. It would rotate, it would turn and rotate really well, and I would get back to the gas well before the apex. That's because what I do with the geometry and bring the front roll center up, the rear roll center down, and all the other geometry things I do. I'm to the gas well before the apex, which means I've got really, really great corner exit speed. And it's really, your total speed is all about corner exit speed. The higher your exit speed, the higher your terminal speed in the straightaway. So I got my foot down, buried into the gas, like right at or before the apex. I'm got really good launch off the corners. Where with the big horsepower GT500s, they got to, first of all, they don't have as good a suspension as mine. But secondly, because of all that torque, it takes a long time before they can really put their foot down. If they start putting their foot down, like in the middle of the corner, the torque will overwhelm the rear tires, and because there's no anti-squat in those cars, it'll get really loose. So they actually have to feather the gas coming off the corner until they kind of get straight, and then they put their foot down. But by that time, I'm gone. I'm all the way down the track. I mean, I've even passed GT500s halfway between turn 3 and turn 5 at Road America, and that's a long straightaway. So yeah, my power adder of preference is the chassis and suspension, because there's a lot of speed in the chassis. I mean, a good example, if you ever watch a NASCAR race, if they want to make the cars go faster, I mean, they don't pop the hood and adjust the carburetor. They work on the chassis. And I'm sure you've seen races where, a driver's complaining about his car's junk in the middle of the race, but they keep working on it. Tire pressures, adjust this, adjust that, and then the car is quick at the end. So to me, the real speed is in the chassis. If I were going to put a power adder on, I wouldn't do it on a Coyote motor for the track. I mean, you just don't need it. To me, you don't need it. For the earlier cars that like the 2 and 3 valve 4.6s, if you really wanted to, first you got to do your performance platform, your power platform. Otherwise, you put extra power on, and like I say with the GT500s, you can't use it. I mean, you just kind of feather the gas, and by the time you get the car straight and you can put the power down, you're more than halfway down the straightaway, and there's no sense to it. But if I were going to put something on and I had a really good platform, chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes, I would use a Centrifugal Supercharger. That's kind of like the Vortec, or what's the other one? ProCharger. And the reason for that is the centrifugals are almost like a turbo. So the faster the motor goes, the more boost it makes. I would not use a positive displacement like the Roush or Whipple or anything like that, or like the GT500s, just simply because, I mean, that's positive displacement. As soon as you hit the gas, you get instant boost, instant torque. And that's going to hamper you getting off the corners. You're not going to be able to put your foot down, which means you're not going to have great corner exit speed. So I would stick with a Vortec type, because you're not going to have that instant torque, and it's going to build power down the straightaway. But like I say, to me, the biggest power adder is getting that chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes. You get those 5 things down right, and you find you probably don't need a power adder. We've even did Cliff's FR500S. We upgraded it to my newest 4.5 suspension system, and then also we took it up to 2011 World Challenge specs with some cylinder heads, cams, and intake. And I mean, that makes like 440 horse, which is like pretty darn good. I mean, 440 horse is just like a boss, and that car was really quick. So that's kind of the way I look at that. I'm not really a fan at all of adding any kind of power adder for track day. Road racing, it's completely different. You have to work to a set of rules. Okay, Rich H wants to know, in your custom car builds, how often or at one point do you use custom ECU tuning, and what modifications absolutely require it? Typically, I mean, it just depends on how much we change. I think the cold air kits that we use typically will need a retune, just simply because they got so much air coming through. It changes the mass air setting, which means we have to put a tune in it. But typically, I mean, the most we do to like 80-90% of our cars is just cold air kit, headers, exhaust, and tune. I mean, if you do anything else other than that, like engine stuff, you absolutely have to have a tune. But a lot of cold airs, we use the JLT, and so much more air flows through that you have to retune, because the mass air in the inlet tube gets really confused if you don't. But a lot of times you can actually get a cold air kit and it comes with a tune.
So with these newer cars, anytime you get pretty much beyond stock, you need to think about, does it really need to have make some compensation for it in the tune? Okay, that kind of gets through our questions. Remember, you can send questions in, and if you've got a complicated question, you can always sign up for one of my 15-minute free consults. I think you can do that through the website, or they'll probably put up something here, and there's a schedule in there. You can sign up. Something I do just primarily so people get real information based off of my experience and not off of something I heard or something I read. It's like, I spent, my background is 50 years doing this, building really great cars and racing. I spent a number of years in professional motorsports, won a lot of championships, won races. So, I mean, I sort of have experience that's pretty darn solid. So that's why I set these 15 minutes up, because a lot of people just don't know what to do next in their car. They've got a problem. They want to know where to go. I also can set you up with kind of like a build plan. If you want to do something with your car and you're not really sure what to do, how to go about it, as long as I know where you want to end up, which is really important, before you start on a project. And we talk about this in some of the workshops and also in the Speed Therapy Academy. We actually just started the next Speed Therapy Academy this past Thursday. And we're if you ever thought about it, I mean, it's a 16-week course. The amount of, if you think I talk a lot about stuff on Cars and Coffee in the workshops, I go way, way beyond that in the Academy. We take every week, we'll take a different subject, and I'll go take really deep dive and really get into it. And by the end, we'll go through car setup, track tuning, all that sort of thing. So it's if you really want to know, the Academy is like the place to be. And because we delayed because we relocated and moved. If you weren't here last week, so we got a new set here. So yeah, we're holding registration open for another week. And if you register now, you didn't miss anything, because all the lessons, all the episodes are recorded, and they live in the resource section, which means you can go back and because I get going, I talk pretty fast, and a lot of people go back and watch it over and over again. And every time they watch, they'll pick up something they missed the last time. So the Academy is we got the Fall Academy is now in session, and we have registration open for one more week. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is, wait a second, this is Cars and Coffee. So I'm talking about cars. Do you have your coffee? I've got mine. A lot of people know that I love coffee. Good coffee. Okay, so let's take a shocking subject and talk about it. We actually have, like I say, we have the 3 different coilover setups that I use. Now, first, why do I use coilover shocks? For 2 really good reasons. One, you can adjust ride height, so you're not stuck. You get, like aftermarket springs off the shelf. You put them on your car. You're stuck with whatever ride height those springs are set at. Maybe it's too low, maybe it's too high. With a coilover, you can actually adjust the ride height to where you want it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is spring rate. I am really big on spring rates, getting the spring rates right, because getting your spring rates right, that really has a whole lot to do with how your car handles. So I'm really big on getting the spring rates right. And with the coilovers, I can actually choose the spring rates I want. If you buy a coilover package from us, a couple things. First of all, I get on the phone with you, and we're going to talk about how you're using the car, what your driving experience is, a track car, your level of experience, what kind of tires you're using, what kind of power you got. I take all those things into account, and then I figure out what's going to be the right, or I say what I feel is going to be the best spring rate to start off with. And the thing about spring rates is it's kind of cool, because with coilovers, if you want to go up, you want to go down, you just take them off, take one spring off, drop the other spring on. It's pretty easy. So, when you talk to me, I'm going to set you up with the spring rate I think is going to be the right one for you. And like I say, it's always, we can go up or down. People just starting out on track days, I'll typically start them a little low on spring rate. And then as they get more experience, we'll go up. To give you an idea on my spring rates, and this is different from anybody else, although there's people starting to copy me now. So I guess their competitors are watching Cars and Coffee to learn what they don't know. To give you an idea, like a S197 Mustang, the front spring rates are in the, off the top of my head, 130, 140 range, somewhere in there. Any off the shelf aftermarket springs that you can get are going to be anywhere from 200 to 220. Lowering springs will probably be 190. Performance springs 200 to 220, and that's about it. And the thing is, anytime you increase spring rate, you really need to put a better shock absorber on, because the spring rates and shocks have to work together. They're a team. And if you've got more spring than the shock can handle, then you got a weak team. So it's like, that's about as good as you can get. To give you an idea, our touring package is a 350 front, street performance 400, novice intermediate track is 500, advanced track on good tires and good brakes is 650. And if you think that's a lot, on the world channel, on my late son Paul's World Challenge Mustang, we were running with Pirelli slicks. We're running 850 to 950 spring rate. And that's something else, is the stickier the tire you put on your car, the more spring rate you need. The absolute worst thing you can do is, for a stock suspension for a track day, buy some used slicks and put them on your car. That's not, it's not the thing to do. And I'll get into that on another day, but I said, just, you can't do that. Not good things can happen from that, because you've got to have spring rate for sticky tires. Okay, with that, let's kind of jump into, where do I want to start today? I think I will start with our strange package for like the SN95s. We were having a problem coming up with a good coilover package for the SN95/Fox. So when we were in Chicago, I went to Strange Engineering with my notebook of all my little shock dynos that I had collected over the years. And I sat down with Dimitri, their shock guy, and I said, okay, here's some shocks, some shock dynos that I kind of like. And can you copy that or build me a shock like that? And he said, sure. So they've been building custom shocks for me ever since. And you're going to say, getting shocks from Strange is strange, isn't it? No pun intended, because they're like 98% drag racing. Well, that's true, except they're building custom shocks for me specifically to my valving specifications. So this is the coilover package we have for SN95. And this is the front. And this is a double adjustable. The bump adjustments on the bottom, the rebound adjustments on top. And we always, any coilover package we do, there's anatomy to this. Down here is the torsion release bearing, which, and this is the helper spring. Because we run such high spring rates, if you were to jack up the car, if you didn't have this helper spring, the spring would drop down. And then when you jack it up, it goes bong back into its space. That's why we have the helper springs. But the torsion release bearing, I'll show you that in a minute, is really important, because as the shock moves up and down, it does this little twisty thing. And that torsion release bearing helps not pass that through to the adjusters, and it just makes it better. And this, for the SN95, this is our Caster Plus. We only have camber adjustment on my for SN95 and Fox cars, and the reason being, a long time ago, we're getting caster camber plates, and every single time we aligned a car, I put maximum caster in. So I started thinking to myself, if we're putting maximum caster in, why do we need a caster camber adjustment? So we found if we went to fixed caster, which we moved it all the way back as far as it would go, we actually got an extra half a degree or so of caster. And if you've been with me for a while, you know, I just absolutely love caster. So, and then this adjusts pretty easy. Yeah, it just takes a little 3/8 wrench. And the bottom adjust is clicks. Clicks from full soft. And the top is actually sweeps. So when you get the setup sheet from me, it's on the bottom, it's going to say number of clicks. And on the top, it's going to be in fourths, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 for how many turns. Now on the back, okay, this is a single adjustable. And on the back, they have adjusters or knobs. Single is on one side, and if it was double adjust, it would be on the other side. But something kind of special we do with these is up here. This is where it mounts onto the rear shock tower, and this right here is Delrin. And the reason for that is when we're, you know, it's pretty much the bushings that come on the shock are designed for, you know, just a shock absorber. But when you put the spring and the shock together, you're putting all the load of the spring into the shock tower, and that's why we go to Delrin. So it's solid, and on top is a really, really firm rubber bushing. Okay, moving up the scale. This is our H&R S package, and it's kind of like a quasi-progressive. This is like a 630 spring rate, but it's not really that bad of a ride because this has really, really good shock valving in it. This is a German-built shock, and you can see we got the caster camber plates on top. We haven't come up with caster plus for the 197 cars yet, but this one, you adjust on the bottom. You can see a little knob down there, and it tells you how to adjust it. And again, when you get the shocks from me, they're assembled, ready to install, along with a setup guide. Now, the thing that I wanted to tell you is that when you put on a package like that, it kind of mimics the factory spring as far as the upper mount. So what we have to do is we buy a brand new mount from Ford, and we take it apart. So we get the spring perch and then the bearing, and then the camber plate just pushes right onto that. So if you're getting a shock like this, we've got the only two we have are the RSS and then the H&R Street Performance package. You really, instead of trying to do the one you have in the car, it's just good practice. Just go get one from Ford, a brand new one from Ford. Now in this package, the rear shocks are not coilover and they're non-adjustable, which kind of makes life easy. And this just reuses the factory shock mount. But what we do in the back, even though it's not coilover, it's a divorced spring, there's an adjuster, so you can still adjust the ride height in the back as well as the front. Okay, moving right along. This is our premium shock package. This is the JRZ. This is a single adjustable. And these shocks are custom built for me in the Netherlands. And I got exposed to JRZ back in 2011 when my late son, Paul, won the World Challenge Championship, GTS Championship in 2011. He pretty much dominated. Incidentally, if you can see that I've been to the dermatologist this week. And part of the reason for that is Paul, 2011, he just dominated World Challenge. In 2012, unfortunately, he passed from melanoma. So I see the dermatologist every 3 months religiously. just because I've seen what an ugly disease that is. So anyway, getting back to the JRZs, this is a single adjustable package. Now this adjusts with a knob on top, okay? And this is a really broad range of adjustment. It'll take a ton of different spring rates, which makes it a really cool shock. And JRZ, if you look up JRZ suspensions, they are a really big major racing shock builder in Europe. That's why I said, I think some of the guys actually were at Coney like decades ago, and they went and had a better idea and started building their own shocks. So the JRZs are a really premium shock. This is a single adjustable. The next step up would be a double adjustable, in which the bump adjustment will be on the bottom, rebound on the top. Also, single adjustable shocks are mostly rebound adjustment, very little bump, because we do most of our tuning with rebound. And the reason for that is what rebound bump is. Bump kind of gets you from the turn into the center of the corner, and rebound gets you from the corner off. And the reason for that is as the spring compresses, going around the corner, you squash the spring down. Well, if you squash the spring down, what's it going to do? It's going to want to unsquash itself. So the amount of rebound controls how quickly or slowly that spring decompresses itself going around a corner. So that's why you've got to match your shocks and springs together. I mean, if you've got a spring that's heavier than what the rebound is in the shock, you're going to wear them out. You're going to get really bad ride quality and wear them out. So I'll show you a few extra pieces. Drop it. My head. Grab the wrong end of the envelope. Okay, this is a TRB, torsion release bearing, and you can see there's 3 pieces to it. There's a flat washer, the bearing itself, another flat washer, and that takes all the torsion out. And something else on the JRZ, you saw that it had a little red knob on top. Well, to get that knob off, it takes a 1.5 millimeter Allen wrench. So we actually include that with the kit. And the reason there's a piece of tape on there is so you can find it in your toolbox. And anytime for and these JRZs, any of the Allens I use, I always put a piece of tape on it so I can find them. So that's the torsion release bearing and the Allen. Now this is the rear, and again, the full package: torsion release bearing, mainspring, spacer, and then the helper spring. And again, we've got our Delrin bushing up here, and that's the Delrin bushing. We custom make those to fit. So that takes the load, and this is the top of it, and this is a really, really hard rubber bushing. So that makes for a really great package. And again, this is single adjustable, so we've got the adjuster on top, and all my shocks are adjusted from full soft up. I never start at full firm and go down. It's always full soft up. The reason is I want the shocks adjusted as soft as possible for compliance and control. A number of years ago, we had, 95. So 1995, and Ford came out with the Cobra R. You may remember that. It was a 351 Cobra. And they came with Coney double adjustable shocks. And more than once, we'd have people that think that, okay, this is a race car, double adjustable shocks. You just crank the shocks up, just adjust them all the way up to like hard, and the cars are undrivable. When you've got the shocks too hard, you're not getting compliance. You're skipping across the track, and it just won't do anything. So that's why we always start at full soft and work our way up from full soft until we get enough control. Control is what we're talking about, because control is compliance. Now, a couple other interesting things is when you get the JRZ, you get some nifty stuff. These actually come in the box, and they actually pads to put on your bench to lay your shocks on, which are kind of cool. And then of course you get this big sticker thing. You get a sticker thing too with the strange. And then of course you get their information package that comes with it. But also, here's the important thing. Any of those packages back there, the coilovers you see, you'll get them assembled and pre-adjusted to what I think a good starting adjustment will be for the spring rates. And from there, dialing in a car is a lot of just trial and error. But I start with an adjustment I think is going to be a good starting point. But from there, you need to adjust it for your application. But you also get this shock setup sheet. And I have a record of this in my computer. It's got obviously your name, address, and phone number. And also, I have on there the type of shock you've got, the spring rate, any other information. And then down here at the bottom, it'll be the adjustments. This was a set of JRZ single adjustable, just like the ones I have back here with 650 front, 400 rear, which is kind of our typical advanced track setup. And you can see the rebound is 6 on the front and 4 on the back. Now, ultimately, I would expect somebody to be, when they're on track, adjusting for their driving style, to be up in the 7 to 9 range. But we'll start at 6, and because I like to start soft and work our way up. And then on the back, there's kind of like just a little letter on adjusting shocks, and then the bottom is kind of like a basic 101 on shock adjustment. Now, one more thing. When we started doing on the SN95, we started doing coilovers in 99 when the IRS came out. Actually, really not. It was 2000. In 2000, we really went to coilovers because that's when I built Kermie for SEMA, which is that's when we introduced our new 3.0 front suspension system. That's a clean sheet of paper, Camber control arms, caster plates. And then we also did a IRS package. We put an IRS in the car, and we completely changed the geometry at the back, tubular lower control arms, upper control arms, and we went to coilovers. Well, when we went to coilovers on the IRS cars, what we're doing is we're putting a lot of load into that shock tower in the back. So we developed a rear shock tower brace, and as you can see, I love triangles. Even though they're small, there's 2 triangles in there. It attaches, the shock goes through there, and there's a couple of bolts that go through the side, and then this bolts in the center to make it nice and solid. In the last Speed Therapy Academy, Ben sent in some pictures he saw on the internet of a couple different cars where they're running coilovers, and the shock tower on SN95, don't know if SN95 or a Fox, actually split and pulled away from the inner fender well. So that's why we added the rear shock tower brace for the SN95 cars. Now the 197s are a lot stronger. It wasn't necessary to have a rear shock tower brace. We did build some at one point, but we're finding out that the production tolerances between cars was like way worse than we thought, because we built some rear shock tower braces and the cars that we were working on dropped right in. But we're finding some cars it was too loose, some cars it was too tight. So we actually stopped making that version. We've got a prototype built for a new one, which we haven't put into production yet, that actually has an adjuster, so it'll fit no matter what the rear shock towers are. That'll be coming up hopefully by spring. So I think I pretty much wrapped up everything I wanted to talk about today. And then we've, I think, let me see. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I covered everything. One more thing, though. This is a last minute addition. I had to write it on the bottom of my sheet. This coming week only, now through I think next Friday or Saturday, there is a special sale on Apex wheels, 15% off. That's, if you're thinking about wheels, 15% off is a pretty darn good discount. So if you can look them up on our website. First of all, they're a pretty darn cost-effective wheel to start with. Secondly, they're really light, not quite as light as a Forge line, but they're a lot lighter than other wheels. So yeah, and to give you an idea of the wheels that we run, here's my philosophy on wheels. 18-inch wheels are for race tires, because all the race series require 18-inch wheels and tires, and most of the race tires are 18s. For performance street and track day, I like 19s. I like a little taller profile, and then of course there's a lot of 19 tires are available. And then to me, 20-inch wheels are for show. I just don't like 20-inch wheels on track cars. There's too much mass, not enough sidewall. So that's what, 18 for race, 19 for street and track, and 20 for show. And then if you're thinking about wheels on like an S197, if you want to go with a square setup, I like doing a 19 by 10 front and rear, and then with a 285/35 19. But a lot of our cars, like the Coyote cars, will do a 1910 in the front with either a 285/35 or 295/30, depending on the application. And then in the back is we'll use a 1911 to 305. That's a really nice combination. It fits well, it looks great, and it works well. So yeah, 15% off on Apex wheels this week only. So if you're looking for wheels, this is an opportunity to pick some up at a really good price. If you got any friends looking for wheels, give us a call. We'll get you hooked up. So with that, I think I'm through everything, and I'm wondering if we have any questions this morning.
We sure do. Just a little bit on the Apex wheels. The sale will start Monday and go through Cyber Monday. So that's the sale dates, and the sale price will be reflected on our website. So also, isn't that a good wheel for if you're looking for rain tires? It's a good cost-effective wheel.
I mean, it's a decent wheel, period. In fact, they've got some brand new, I think they're monoblock Forge wheels, which is what I would go with for a track car. So yeah, I mean, it's a decent wheel at a decent price.
Okay, let's get back to our questions. We have lots of people that joined us today. We are simulcasting live, so everybody knows, on both Facebook channels that we have, the Speed Therapy Society Facebook group, and also on the Kenny Brown YouTube channel. So if you want to watch this in replay, go to the YouTube channel. Also on YouTube, if you want to be notified when Kenny's going to be live, go on there and subscribe, and then click the little bell, and you will be notified every Saturday when he's live.
No, and he's supposed to put the little thummy things up to the lights.
Good, you're learning. Yeah, so give Kenny some thumbs up if you're enjoying what he's like, and also share with your friends. He shares such good information. If you like what he's sharing, definitely share with your friends. Okay, Kenny, are you ready for your first question?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Kenny, what system would you recommend to increase the horsepower in a 2020 Shelby GT350? My car handles really good and could use another 108 horsepower. No, not sure if a flat plain crank engine could support a supercharger.
Okay, getting another 100 horsepower, it kind of depends on your budget. I mean, superchargers, if people are supercharging and turbocharging GT350s, but that gets you up in like the 700 horsepower range, which is a lot. And that would, on track, it'd be a challenge keeping the back of the car down. But as far as, there's here's the thing. There's very few things you can do to get a lot of horsepower out of a car. If you want a little horsepower, cold air kit, long tube headers, high flow cats, X pipe, and a performance exhaust and a tune. That, and depending on the car and the tune and the pieces, that could be another 30, 40, 50 horsepower. To get beyond that, without going to supercharger, you have to go into the motor. And that's when it starts getting expensive. You know, you have to go in and an internal combustion engine is an internal combustion air pump. You know, air in, air out. It pumps air. And in the middle of pumping it, there's an explosion which makes it go out the exhaust faster. The only way to really increase horsepower is the top end of the motor, which is cylinder heads, cams, intake, exhaust. So I mean, it's like they've got pretty decent power to start with. I think I'd go with a good cold air kit, long tube headers, high flow cats, and performance exhaust, and see how much that got you. Beyond that, I know there's people that are putting superchargers and turbochargers on them, and I haven't found the need, or you know, I just don't think that's the kind of car that you need to do that kind of hot rodding to. So that's kind of, you know, it's kind of like probably not the answer you're looking for, but that's kind of like the truth. So yeah, cold air kit, tune, long tube headers, high flow cats, and a 3-inch performance exhaust, and see where that gets you. I mean, you'd be surprised. But also work on the chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes. If you've got the MagnaRide, there's not much you can do. If it's a regular GT350, about the best you can do is get a set of the R springs, GT350 R springs, and put them on the front. The rear springs are the same, but that only gets you up in the 200 range. You know, we've got our touring package for 550s is 350. Street performance is 450. Street track is like a 500, and advanced track is 650. So, I mean, if you really want to improve the speed, think about a good set of springs and shocks. And then also you need to be thinking about 2-piece slotted rotors. That'll make your braking more efficient, and it'll keep your bearings and wheels cooler. Obviously, brake ducts, brake pads, and better set of tires. So, I mean, there to me, there's as much speed in working on that chassis as 100 horsepower. So you do that plus the intake, exhaust, and tune, and boom, you mean you got a really fast car. Okay, who's next?
Oh, Mr. Cliff has a comment. Hello, Cliff. Good to see you here. Kenny's right. Back from a track day yesterday. The old his car is called old number 44. So just so you know, the old 4.63 valve stock with only intake and exhaust mods, but with all of Kenny's suspension upgrades, stayed with the newer Mustangs on the straights because my corner speed was better. Fun day. Great car.
Well, that's what we like to hear. It's all about SPM, smiles per mile. That's what we kind of focus on, lots of smiles per mile.
I like that. Okay, Alexandrio, what is the best spring rate for coilovers? He has a 2013 Shelby GT500 for track or street. And he has one more comment here. He's had a 15-minute with you, Kenny, I believe. He knows you need tire size. Also, I got the Michelin Sport Cup 2 front size is 295, 35, 19, and the rears are 305, 30, 20. Do you need to know what shocks he has on his car too?
Yeah, because shocks and springs need to go together.
Alexandrio, if you can make a comment on what shocks you have, then Kenny will answer your question. Also, Alexandria, if you join the Speed Therapy Academy, you would, at the end of the session, you would know how to set up your spring rates. Let's go. Let me see if he added something yet. Not yet. So Alexandria will wait for that. Here's the next question. Kenny, do you remember what front brakes you used on them 2 Gen all-wheel drive 5.0 Explorers? Steve used Algon, but at $3,000 a corner, it's a rarity now. Upgrading has been impossible.
Yeah, I don't remember. And I think instead of Algon, you probably need Alcon, which is a really good brake company. In fact, Alcon and Bear used to work together. They used to, they partnered on some stuff. And Alcon is a great race brake company. And of course, they are expensive. Interesting thing is that Bear, got to the point where they could actually do their own forgings and do all their own machine work and build their own calipers. However, they still get their rotors from Alcon. So when you get a Bear rotor, you can be assured it is a super high quality Alcon rotor. But I just don't remember. I can't remember if we changed brakes or just did brake pads. I know like on the Crown Vics, we did our own Bear, or in the earlier Crown Vics, we built our own Brembo package for them. And on the like Marauders and later Crown Vics, we worked together with Bear and came up with a performance brake package for them. I just can't remember what we did. I'd have to go back and do some looking. And I'll try to remember to look and tell you next week if I find any.
Okay, and then let's see. Okay, we have an answer from Alexandria. Sorry about that, Alexandria. Whatever he recommends. So whatever shocks you recommend do you want me to go back to the tire size?
No, I mean, tire size is perfect. It's absolutely perfect tire size. I know he has to run the 20-inch because that's probably what came on the car. But that's okay. Listen, it would be best if you just signed up for a 15-minute because it depends. It all depends on your budget. I think kind of like a real cost-effective package would be like the H&Rs back here. That's like a 630 front. The GT500s have so much extra weight in the nose of the car. We'll run more spring rate in them typically than we would for than like the GT. Oh, however, for a lot of our track day guys, for the like the Coyotes, like on my car, I run a 650 front and around a 425 rear. We've got a couple of GT500s running the 650-400 combination, and that seems to work pretty good with the JRZ shocks. So it just kind of depends on what your price point is, and yeah, you need to give me sign up for a 15-minute, and I'll come up with a package for you.
Alexandria, Brad will be adding the link in the comments here. If you don't catch the link here, it's also on the Kenny Brown website. So you can go to kennybrown.com and find the link there to sign up for a session with Kenny. Okay, we have a couple more. This is, it looks like we don't have a lot of questions left. So this is last call for questions as I go through a few more things. So again, last call if you have any questions for Kenny or if there's anything you'd like him to talk about in the next coming weeks. Brian West has a comment, which is interesting. He says, hey, Studio 1408 camera lens doesn't bend tubing. Big improvement. I think that had more to do with the camera we were using, Brian. But yeah, I noticed that too. Kenny, you don't know this, but when you would hold up like a subframe connector or a jacking rail, it would bend the tubing. So it looked pretty interesting. So let's see. Also,
we've been, this camera thing has been kind of like a sore subject. We've been trying everything. Yeah, we've been trying a bunch of different cameras, trying to come up with something that really works. We ended up going back to the camera in my computer.
And here's what Alexandria has to say. I want to change my shocks and springs with your JRZ single adjustables. I want to be great for street and track. That would do it.
Okay, cool. That would be, it just depends on how much street and how much track. Most of our GT500s, single adjustable JRZs, like I say, are a 650 front and a 400 rear. But you also really, really need to have that rear grip kit in the back to settle the back of the car down, so you actually can get launch off the corner. So that would be a good package. If it's more street than track, I'd probably do like 550, 350 in the back. So yeah, we can get you fixed up.
Okay, again, this is last call for any questions. Brian commented on something you were talking about. He said GLT and headers. So that's what he's recommending.
Yep. That's what we do. JLT cold air kit, headers, exhaust, tune. And like I say on my 2012, which actually had a Boss motor in it, we got up to like 440, 442 rear wheel horsepower, which puts us in the 500 range flywheel. So I mean, you can if with the right components, you can really do well.
And Kelvin, who used to work for us years ago, he remembers Kenny. He said, this is regarding the Explorers. Didn't we use Cobra brakes as a base upgrade on the supercharged Explorers?
Well, you're testing my memory. I just don't remember. I'm going to have to look up, do some digging to help me remember what we actually did use.
And then George has a question. He says, can you go over how to do turns in a track to get its speed? Does that make sense?
I think it's Jorge, maybe.
No, I've talked to him before. It's George. He goes,
George?
I think, yeah.
Okay, can you go over how to do turn in at track speed? Well, it's kind of like a tough question. Like I say, in the academy, we go all through the whole driving thing. But turn in, basically, the way I set cars up, like my AGS 4.0 suspension, is that you can brake really late, and because the front actually turns, you start turning in. I mean, it's slow turn in. You got to pick your point, and then you're looking for a later apex. I like late apexes because you can get to the gas sooner coming off the corner. But the other thing too is you got to have to get a good crisp turn in. You need some geometry in the front, and then the right suspension alignment. On track, we'll typically run with my suspensions, the 2.5 negative on the hot side, if the clockwise track, and 2 on the other side with a 16th or minus 0.25, minus 0.3 toe out. Toe out really helps turn in. So I mean, it's basically, I mean, you get to your spot and it says you need to do it really smooth. Not like that. Do smooth in, unwind, wind in, wind out. But the turn in, you just have to kind of pick your spot so that you're turning in for a later apex. If you turn in and when you're exiting the corner or run off the track, you had way too early of an apex. That's how to tell if you apex too soon. If you run out of track on the outside, you just need to go deeper and deeper and apex later and later. I don't know if that answers the question or not, but that's the best I think I can do.
Okay, here's another question from DJKR. So anyway, he's been here before. I recognize his little symbol there. Can I buy your SN95 New Edge modular parts, example, Camber front grip kit, etc., for my modular swapped front road race car? Any compatibility issues with the combination? I already have the full IRS.
Okay, I don't have a good answer because we really haven't done any modular installs with our front Camber. Rich, if you talk to Rich, he might have more information on that. But so far, in-house anyway, we haven't done a modular conversion. I know there's some different things you have to do, but I just off the top of my head, I just can't answer that for you.
Definitely Rich knows because he's been working with guys that have been converting it over. So he will definitely have the answer for you. So just give us a call on Monday, and Rich should be able to answer that for you. Okay, here's a couple other issues. Alexandrio, what tires do you recommend instead of the Sport Cup 2 in my size?
I mean, Sport Cup 2s are great tires. I mean, that's a great tire. It's one of the tires we can recommend for people. What I like on my track cars is the Pirelli P0 Corsa. It's a great track street tire. It actually has tread in it. And if you follow Formula One, the tread on some of the P0 Corsas is very similar to like the intermediate Formula One race tires. But I mean, they got really good grip. They're very predictable. They won't surprise you. I mean, they'll let you know when you're beyond. And I mean, you can drive them on the street. So that's kind of what I kind of like. The Pirelli Trofeo R's are super sticky, but they don't last as long as the Corsas. So that's kind of like the tires I like the best of the P0 Corsas. Like I say, it's a great little tire, and they seem to last a long time.
Okay, we have Jorge or George says he answers to both. That is so cool. So I'll call him George, you call him Jorge. How's
Okay.
that sound? So it's sort of like my name. My name is spelled as Carrie. It's Cari, and I get Cari a lot. So don't really care, just as long as you're acknowledged. Okay, here we go. Another little comment here. I'd like to thank you for your information and patience with our questions. It's appreciated, guys. Well, thank you. That was nice, Ken, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm here for.
And
I'm trying to give you guys good information based off of my experience. And I've got a lot of experience.
okay, I think Brian's responding to somebody, but here I'll read his comment. Absolutely need the K-Link on the GT500. 2013 is aluminum block, by the way, so not as nose heavy. Also don't think the 20s are mandatory in the back. I've heard 20s and 3.31 gears were to reach 200 miles per hour. Any comments on that, Ken, or not?
No.
Okay, cool. Again, this is
although the K-Link, what he's referring to is the K-Link is our AGS 4.5 suspension system. It's the newest one. It's completely amazing. It's actually, we're patenting it because it's so good. But you really can't just put the K-Link actually is part of. We've got like the rear grip kit, and that's turned into rear grip kit 1, and with the K-Link that becomes rear grip kit 2. And you just can't put that on the car, because if you did, you wouldn't get the front to turn. I mean, the front would turn in really great, and then it would just kind of go away. You really need kind of like the full suspension system, the front grip kit, and a good set of springs and shocks, and then the car would just be totally amazing. And it's really hard to get the back of the car loose with the K-Link, as we've had a lot of people tell us.
So it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So Alexandria said, you guys are great. Well, thanks, Alexandria. That sure is nice. We appreciate that. Kenny enjoys what he's doing. And Kenny, do you have any more words, or do you want to share anything else?
No, I think I've kind of pretty much wrapped it all up. Although next week, because of holiday, we are going to have an encore presentation. So if you're around Saturday morning, I'm not sure what Brad's going to choose, but I'm sure it'll be a good one. And then we'll be back the week after that. And like I say, we've got Speed Therapy Academy has just started its fall semester. And then we're holding registration over for another week or so. And not to worry, if you sign up this week, you can go back and you can watch the previous weeks. There's a video in there in the resource section. Also, the cool thing about the Speed Therapy Academy is lots of perks. You get a nifty notebook to start. You get Speed Therapy Academy polo shirt. And also some of the other perks is you get 10% off on Kenny Brown products. We've had several people join the Academy this time because they're going to buy a bunch of suspension parts. So they joined the Academy so they can get 10% off their parts. And then also it's 10% off of Kenny Brown parts, 10% off of Bear products. That's brake kits, rotors. And then also what we do for Academy members and alumni is on brake pads. We get our G-Lock brake pads pre-bedded. So you get a really good track pad. We can get them pre-bedded so you don't have to waste an entire session bedding in your track pads.
Also, there's a discount on Forge Lane wheels and on a number of other manufactured products that we don't want to bore you with right now. So if you're interested, join up. We can go over the list with you.
Yeah, the other manufactured products, it varies because in recent years, the margins keep shrinking and shrinking. But if we can help you out, we will. So, and if you want more information on that, just call in and we can or send an email or whatever. We can shoot some information off to you.
Actually, there's a link.
We'd love to have you.
Actually, there's a link in the comments here. So, and also there'll
there
be
we
a
go.
link on the kennybrown.com website.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, it's 16 weeks, Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 7 o'clock to whenever we end. And like I say, every week I'll go through something. Last week was chassis. We're going to start with suspensions this week. And then we just go through the whole car and then get into setup, track tuning, cause and effects. If the car does this, what could it be? And then at the end, we'll actually get people sending their videos, and I'll do some virtual driver coaching.
Jorge has another question for you. So how does the K-Link work on the rear end, and what are the choices for SN95?
Okay, what the K-Link does, it's pretty unique. It has some really interesting asymmetrical geometry in it, and what it does is it decouples axle roll and body roll. So what do I mean by that? So by decoupling axle roll and body roll, going around a corner, it doesn't matter how much the car rolls going through a corner, both rear tires are on the ground at all times with the exact same amount of weight pushing them down. The problem with a live axle car is going around a corner. Before you can get to the gas, you have to wait for that axle to settle back down, because the axle will roll. And then you've got, if you get to the gas too soon, you're going to overwhelm the outside tire, and that's when the car gets loose. So what the K-Link does is it decouples axle roll and body roll. So both rear tires are always on the ground with the same amount of weight on all the time. Plus what it does is it actually lowers the rear roll center below the bottom of the axle. Before this, the lowest you can get the rear roll center is the bottom of the diff. And what the roll center is that's the point at the back, the geometric point that the car wants to roll around. And where the panel bar crosses the center line of the car, that's the roll center. And in stock cars, like way up in the middle of the differential, that's why when you go around a corner really fast, you almost feel that inside tire getting really light. And that's because the roll center is so high. So what we do is actually with our roll center relocation kit, we take the panel bar, we drop it right down to the bottom of the differential. Back in the Trans Am days, a Watts link is the best way to locate an axle. Unfortunately, wherever the pin is, the center pin, that's your roll center. And it's really hard to get that roll center down low. In the old Trans Am days, what we do is we mount a Watts link horizontal on the bottom of the differential. That way we got the benefits of a Watts, but put the roll center right at the bottom of the diff. Well, I thought that was impractical for the everyday guy. So that's why we did the roll center relocation kit and brought the panel bar down to the bottom of the diff, put the roll center down lower. And with the K-Link, we actually move it lower than that. And only the people that have it know actually how low the roll center goes. Because there's a process that you can actually adjust your roll center. So it's a pretty cool package. I mean, it's like a really super premium suspension. There's nothing else like it in the aftermarket. Nothing else handles as well as it. Like I say, it really, really plants the back of the car. You get actually crisp turn in, and with the front grip kit, it really turns. And we bring the front roll center up, the rear roll center down, and you go flat through the corners. So
now, Jorge has a Fox that he's converting into. Well, he already has IRS on the back. How would that compare? Because you can't really put the K-Link on the IRS. Can you kind of explain that to him, how the IRS compares to the K-Link?
Yeah, it's kind of like there's some similarities. The interesting thing, when we do IRS cars, I'll typically run the same spring rate front and rear. Like if we've got a 500 front, I'll run a 500, even a 550 sometimes, depending on the power. And with the live axle cars, we're typically, like if we're running a 650 front, I'm going to run a 400 rear. Well, with the K-Link, whatever spring rate we're running in the front, we'll run that in the back, just like an IRS car. So we spring the cars like an IRS car. The thing that's similar to IRS is you've got, kind of both tires are always down, and you get really good traction off the corner. The advantage is that with a live axle, you get more anti-squat and you kind of get more bite off the corner. But the IRS is in a Fox is just, and that's a great little package. We have so many guys doing that. Especially if you do like our full IRS package, all 4 stages, and get the geometry upgrade. I mean, they're just amazing. So we don't have a new rear suspension for the SN95 or Fox cars yet, live axle. That's probably sometime late next year. Okay, anybody else scary?
That looks like it.
Okay.
Looks like we should call this Cars and Coffee and Water.
Yeah, well, I ran out of coffee.
Did you? Okay.
I had to switch over to water. Okay, well, if that's it, I really thank you guys for watching. If you found what I talked about today interesting, you can go back and watch on our YouTube channel, Kenny Brown Performance TV YouTube. Or if you've got some friends that might be interested in that, certainly share that with them. Because I think today was kind of pretty cool going through all the different coilover shocks. Because everything I do for the most part is coilovers. I just like them. You can adjust the ride height, and I can pick the spring rate that's right for the application. So with that, next week is Encore, and the week after that, send in. I always talk about what you want to know about. So the Speed Therapy Society, Facebook or email, send in some comments on your questions or things you'd like me to talk about. The reason we talked about coilovers, we had, I think a week or two ago, we had some people asking a bunch of questions on coilovers. So we thought it would be a really good subject for today. And like I say, let me know what you want me to talk about. And I'll try to share the best information I can based off of my experience, not what somebody said or something I read or something I heard, real live information. So with that, have a good rest of your weekend. If any of our Speed Therapy Academy guys are out there, I'll see you Tuesday evening. If you want to join the Speed Therapy Academy, get signed up, and I'll see you Tuesday evening. And you will be amazed at the amount of information you will come away with when you're done. You think I give a lot of information on Cars and Coffee? The Academy doesn't even come close to what I do in the Academy. So with that, if have a good rest of your weekend. Have a good Turkey Day next week. And I will see you either Tuesday night if you're an Academy guy, or I'll see you in 2 weeks on Cars and Coffee with me, Kenny Brown. Good night, or good night. Good. It's still morning. I guess I can say good morning. And have a good rest of your weekend. And really appreciate you guys coming and listening to me kind of spout off for a couple of hours. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.